Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's the Big Canucker, and I've got myself a knife that's really opened my eyes. There was a certain knife brand out there that I would see the prices of it, and I would say, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. Even though I'm a Spyderco fanboy, and I'm sure there's lots of people who look at Spydercos and they go, holy shit, that's a lot of money. Well, I would say, holy shit, that's a lot of money for a ZT. And I got to say, hey, thank you so much for a wonderful subscriber by the name of Jonathan. I don't want to say his last name because I don't know if I can say his last name, but I will leave his Instagram link in my description, so don't forget to sign up to him. His Instagram handle is greasemonkeys_@EDC. No, greasemonkeys_EDC. And he's a hell of a nice guy, and we got to talking, and he told me he had a ZT, and would I want to try it out? And I was like, heck yeah. You know, I had seen the ZTs out there, and I just thought, holy cow, they're lots of money. And he said, yeah, I'll send you this one. If you like it, you know what, maybe we can make a deal on it. And, yada, yada, yada. Even if you don't send it back, no big deal. I'd love for you to see what your opinion of this knife is. And I got to say, Jonathan, you opened my eyes up to a whole new world of knives because ZT is a great brand. So let's go have a look at the tabletop. We'll go over the specs of this beautiful, beautiful knife. All right. So we have got ourselves a ZT 0560 blackwash knife, and it is 3.75 inches of Elmax steel. And Elmax is known for its toughness, its edge retention, and it is a great super steel out there. You've got a G10 side here, and you've got titanium, both 3D milled, so tremendous manufacturing capabilities. And I do believe this is built in the US of A, so I know that people love their US of A knives. And yeah, so let's go here or some other things. When it's closed, it is 5 inches long, and overall, when it's open, it is 8.8, and it is 5.8 ounces for weight. It's got quite a big size to it, but we'll compare it here. Here is a Spyderco Resilience, which is very similar to a to a military with a 4-inch blade. And then, of course, this is the one that most people know, and that's your Spyderco Delica. And you can see how much this knife is bigger than a Delica. And I gotta say, this knife here, we'll go over some hits, some misses, and everything in between with this bugger here. Now, this Elmax blade here is 4 millimeters thick. So this was designed by a fellow by the name of Rick Hinderer, who was Hinderer Knives. As you probably know, if you're a knife collector, you've heard of Rick Hinderer. And he designs really hard-use knives using premium materials and ergonomically designed. And I have to say that his design lives up to his reputation. I think it's fantastic the way that this fits into your hand. The ergonomics on here are extremely great. My hands fit in there really well. This Elmax blade here is called his Rick Hinderer Slicer Grind, and it's a really high hollow grind, but he reinforces the tip because he knows that, hey, the most vulnerable point of a knife is going to be its tip. And if you have to kind of stab into something, and even though, hey, you're not supposed to pry with a knife, they're not prying tools. Sometimes when you do puncture something, you end up doing that little bit of a twist, and there's an accidental kind of twist on there, and that's where most knives are going to fail, is the tip. So he's really reinforced this tip. So you can see how it's 4 millimeters. It kind of tapers in, and then it tapers out into a wonderful hard use edge. And I got to say, I put this through some cardboard, I put this through some food, I put this through some paper, and it went through, for the size of this blade, the thickness, and how hard to use it is, it's a great slicing knife. Now, I'm sure that, there are blades like this that, just for the physics wise, a thinner high blade like this will maybe slice greater. But hey, when you've got something that you really got to get through, this knife is going to go through it. So some of the other hits on here too as well is the fact that it's got, some really great innovations. Now this knife is, 8 years old. So it came when it was brand new with some fantastic innovations. Of course, you've had the lock bar insert here. And so lots of times when you've got titanium into steel with no in between, you develop some lock stick. Well, if you put a stainless steel insert there, you're running steel against steel, and you don't have that problem. This over travel here too as well, so that prevents you from taking this lock bar and and extending it too far. And because not only if you extend it too far, you have the chance of bending this permanently. And if you bend this permanently, your knife is not going to go in. It's not going to lock up properly, and you're not going to have the proper detent for stuff that even firing your flipper tab. If you don't have a proper detent from your lock bar, you're going to be, having misfires all the time. It's just not going to work very well. The knife would still, maybe you can still open up by hand, but it may not lock as deep there, and it also will not fire out with a flipper tab. All right. Now, the other thing, too, that makes this so beautifully smooth is it's got the KVT ball bearing system inside, which is, I gotta say, incredibly, incredibly smooth. Oh, wow. I didn't realize how... And when I fired this for the first time, I had to put a shit-eating grin on my face, and the fact that it just dropped shut like this... Excuse me. Have myself a little bit of a drink. I couldn't get over how well this dropped shut. And we all kind of flick our knives, and we have, we look for that drop shuttitude, and this has got it in spades. For such a really big blade, it does rock it out, and I gotta say, I have not misfired this knife in the time that I've been EDCing it. It is fired out every single time. But it's not all roses, folks. There is some misses on this, and part of it has to do with flipping. Is when you're flipping this, your landing pad is into some really, really aggressive jimping, and this flipper tab has got a little bit of a bite to it too as well. And you can see I've got some delicate flowered hands that I just, man, if I flip this knife 20 or 30 times, I can feel it on the tip of my finger getting a little bit hot. And that's one thing that I think that I would do, is I would perhaps take these jimping and either make them quite a bit smaller or remove them altogether, because this knife locks so well in your hand. I just don't see the need for it. And then this jimping here and this jimping here. I think a lot of this jimping is for looks more than it is for actual use, because it is a little too aggressive, in my opinion. I mean, if you really squeeze it onto this knife, and you squeeze it like a bastard, you can see where it leaves, it leaves indentations in my hands here from the jimping. And I think that is just a little bit too much. All right, so the other thing here as well is it's got the flow-through construction, and at 5.8 ounces, such a beautiful hard use knife, being so light. A lot of my real big heavy honking knives are well over 6 inches or 6 ounces, and for this one to hit 5.8 ounces, I think is beautiful. It makes it and the balance on it is so nice too as well. It makes it a really not an unwieldy knife. It's it's very nimble for its size. At 3.75 inches long, and believe me, look, there is the cutting length is there. Lots of times you get a big 3.5 or 3.75 inch or even 4 inch knife blade, and you lose a lot in your cutting edge. This doesn't have it. This has got the cutting edge right from the heel to the tip, and it's ready to rock. It's ready to go. So, would I recommend this bugger? I think absolutely. I think this is a fantastic knife, and I would recommend it. On a scale of 1 to 10, though, I think I'm going to give this knife an 8. And it's going to lose some for, your jimping here, I think, is a little bit too aggressive. And also the fact that it's also seems like it's lost some of its luster when it comes to this G10. Doesn't seem as grippy as I think it was right in the beginning. This knife has had some use to it, so it is still wearing wonderfully. It's got a beautiful patina to it. You can see that the black wash of this titanium on the other side is starting to, you've got the shiny spots with the black wash, but it really adds a beautiful patina. But I think that it just seems like it's a little bit too hard, is what I'm trying to say. I think the overall design of this knife is wonderful, but I'm going to give it some misses of the jimping as well as your G10. I think it's just a little bit too smooth over time. So, thank you so much, Jonathan, for showing me this wonderful, wonderful knife and letting me put it in my pocket. I think it's a fantastic piece of cutlery, and I definitely want to put my hands on the 0560, the Hinder kind of ZT X18, XM18 kind of knife, and I think that is going to be another home run too as well. All right, if you like what you saw, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up as well as subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and boy oh boy, when I hit 1,000, I got a surprise coming. I'm just going to wait till it lands here, and then I'm going to start announcing it pretty soon. But I have to say, that'll be also thank you to another subscriber. I don't want to go too far on it yet, but we got something in the works that's going to be huge. All right. Please stay safe out there. We're not in the woods. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.